the second part of our second chapter, that is on past tense, and in the second part we'll be covering the topic past continuous tense. The learning outcome of this session is that by the end of this session, the students will be able to understand again the structure and the usage of past continuous tense. So let's look at the first usage of past continuous tense. We basically use the past continuous tense to talk about the past for something which happened before and after another action. For instance, the children were doing their homework when I got home. So the moment I got home, the children were doing their homework. So in this context, we know that this action was happening when I got home. When I got home, this was something that the children were doing. And again, were doing refers to the continuity of the action. So that action was in progress when I got back home. Now, here we need to make a basic comparison between past continuous tense and past indefinite tense. So, if I say the children did their homework when or after I got home, it's a very different meaning. It conveys a different meaning if I say that they did their homework when I got home. It shows that when I got back home, they did their homework. But when I say they were doing their homework when I got back home, it has a different meaning. The second example is, it was raining when we reached the bus stop. So both of these action or events happened in the past. We are referring to something that happened in the past. We reached the bus stop in the past. So when we reached the bus stop, we saw that it was raining. So again, it was raining refers to the continuity of action, but in the past. Another example, another usage basically, this usage of the past continuous is very common at the beginning of a story. So in narrative, when someone is narrating a story, this usage is very common. The other day, I was waiting for a bus when I saw, or when suddenly, anything. So this is a very common usage of past continuous tense in a narrative, while narrating a story. Okay. Last week, as I was driving to work, again, then something happened when I was driving to work. So this is yet another example. Another usage of past continuous tense is that we use past continuous to talk about something that happened before and after a specific time. So here again, a specific reference to time is made in this context. For example, it was 8 o'clock, I was writing a letter. So you mention the time in the past, and then you mention the action that again was happening in the past, and there is again a difference in I wrote a letter and then and I was writing a letter. So I wrote a letter, an action that was completed in the past, and when you say I was writing a letter, again that action happened in the past, but you're referring to its continuity at a specific point in time. We also use past continuous to show that something, an action or a state continued for a specific time. For instance, my head was aching. So this happened for a certain period of time. Though this is a part of my past, my head is no more aching, but this continued for some period of time in the past. So again, to refer to a continuity of an action in the past. Okay. Everyone was shouting. So again, this action happened for a certain period of time in the past. So again, referring to the continuity of an action in our past. We also use past continuous for something that happened again and again. For example, I was practicing every day, 3 times a day. So I am referring to a routine or a continued action, an action that continued for a specific period of time, and that used to happen again and again, but in my past. So I was, maybe 2 years ago from now, I was practicing every day 3 times a day. So this was something that was continuously happening every day for 3 times in a day. They were always quarreling. So again, they have a habit of quarreling, and you're telling about something that happened for a continued period of time in the past. Okay. They use past continuous tense with verbs to show change or growth. Her English was improving. So you are referring to that specific point in time when she was improving her language skills. The town was changing quickly. So maybe you are narrating something. Again, this type of language, this type of grammatical structure is very common in a narrative when you are narrating a story. So, you're telling about the town, you're telling about an event in the past, and you're telling, this is a style of narrating that, and the town was changing quickly during a specific period of time. Her hair was going grey. Yet another example. Now we again know the basic, structure of using past continuous tense. Again, whether it's present continuous or it's past continuous, it has been observed that students generally use continuous tense incorrectly. They unnecessarily use ing form in their writing. So you must not use it where it is not required. So that is the reason that I focus on structure a lot, so that you know when to use a specific form of verb, in which context it has to be used, and what is the accurate structure. So before you know the structure, you must be familiar with the context in which each of these tenses must be used. So for affirmative sentences, positive sentences, now here comes the basic difference, when there is a different subject, the verb form will be different. There is one basic difference. If it's a singular subject, I was walking to work. But if it's a plural subject, Mary and I were cooking dinner, because there are two people involved. So again, be very careful of the auxiliary verb, be very careful of the correct form of verb. I have emphasized this in the chapter of present tense as well, and I would re-emphasize it here as well. My boss was working, because again, boss is singular. The tigers, plural, the tigers were eating meat. Be very careful of the correct form of auxiliary verb or the correct form of main verb. Okay. The only difference in negative sentence, the only addition by forming negative past continuous tense is that after an auxiliary verb, between an auxiliary and a main verb, not will be added. So I was not sleeping on the bus. Because it's a plural subject, we were not working hard at work. My grandfather was not watching TV, and the ladies were not cooking dinner. Again, the ladies, plural, my grandfather, singular. So auxiliary verb has to be chosen considering the subject. I repeat here, if the subject is singular, the auxiliary verb was will be used along with the main form of verb, and here, unlike past indefinite, the main form, the first form of the verb will be used with ing. You are not going to use the past form or the second form of the verb here in this context. And for interrogative sentences, again, whenever we are forming a question, you must know that the auxiliary verb, the question word comes at the beginning of a sentence. So was I sleeping on the bus, or were we making a lot of noise? Was the man speaking to you, or were the students playing football? So the subject, the main form of the verb remains constant, that is the first form with ing, and then comes the remaining phrase. But the only thing that will change in continuous tense, as per the subject is the helping verb. So either you're going to use was or were, depends on the subject that you have written. So I hope that the usage and grammatical structure of past continuous tense is clear to you by now. So see you in our next session, which will be on past perfect tense. Thank you.